Ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure of welcoming you to the 14th Annual General Meeting of the Stanbic Income Fund Trust, which I now declare open. I now call upon the Secretary, Mrs. A.C. Kurama Amwa, to read the notice of the meeting.
Notice of Virtual Annual General Meeting of Stanbic Income Fund Trust. Notice is hereby given that the 14th Annual General Meeting, AGM, of the unit holders of Stanbic Income Fund Trust, the fund, will be held virtually on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 at 12 noon and shall be streamed live to unit holders from Stanbic Business Incubator, Silver Star Tower, Airport City, Accra, for the transaction of the following business. Agenda 1. To receive the reports of the manager of the fund for the year ended December 31, 2024. 2. To consider the trustees' reports and the reports of the auditors for the year ended December 31, 2024. 3. To receive and adopt the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2024. And 4. To authorize the manager to fix the remuneration of the auditors. Special business. 5. To amend the scheme particulars and trust deed of the fund to enable the fund manager to invest a maximum of 85% of the fund's assets under management, AUM, in medium to long-term corporate and government debt securities and invest a maximum of 40% of the fund's AUM in money market securities in Ghana or other regulated markets, while retaining a minimum of 5% in cash and near cash securities. Dated 30th June 2025, by order of the manager, Stanbic Investment Management Services Limited, on behalf of the trustee, Universal Merchant Bank Limited, Notes: attendance and participation by all unit holders and or their proxies in this year's AGM of the fund shall be strictly virtual, that is by online participation. A unit holder entitled to attend and vote at the AGM may appoint a proxy to attend via online participation and vote on his or her behalf. Such a proxy need not be a unit holder of the fund. The appointment of a proxy will not prevent a unit holder from subsequently attending and voting at the meeting via online participation. Where a unit holder attends the meeting in person via the online portal, the proxy appointment shall be deemed to be revoked. Accessing and voting at the virtual AGM. To gain access to the virtual AGM, unit holders must visit https://simscisagm.com and input their unique token number on Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. For unit holders who do not submit proxy forms to the trustee of the fund prior to the meeting, they may vote electronically during the virtual AGM again using their unique token number. Further assistance on accessing the meeting and voting electronically can be found on https://simscisagm.com. For further information, please contact the trustee, Universal Merchant Bank Limited. Thank you.
Thank you, AC. The first item on the agenda is to receive the report of the manager of the fund for the year ended December 31, 2024. I call upon Nana Benyinedu Forson to read the report of the manager to unit holders.
Thank you. I'll take the fund manager's report. Dear unit holders and partners, I'm pleased to welcome you to the 2024 Annual General Meeting for the Stanbic Income Fund Trust and SIFT or the fund. I'll highlight a few portions of the report for this meeting. Foreign investor interest group following the completion of the Eurobond exchange and Ghana's subsequent rating upgrade by Fitch. Conversely, local investors preferred short-term securities as uncertainty surrounding the upcoming presidential elections posed risks. Treasury bills yield for the 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day instruments ended 2024 at 28.03%, 28.68%, and 30.07% respectively, making the new DDP bonds less attractive to investors. Investments and performance of SIFT. SIFT assets grew by 24.9%, closing the year with 479 million in assets under management. The fund's liquidity position also improved to 37% of AUM from 5.3% in 2023. Portfolio asset mix. Total net assets as of December 21st, 2024 stood at 476 million, composing of Government of Ghana bonds and corporate bonds were 63% of funds, and cash and near cash securities were 37%. Returns of the fund. The main class achieved a significant gain of 18% in 2024 based on the mark-to-market valuation of the portfolio's assets, while the sub-class performed even better, posting an increase of 23.7% year-on-year. This marked a substantial improvement of the fund, which reported an unrealized gain of 62.5 million in 2024 compared to a loss position of 78.3 million in 2023. The turnaround is primarily attributed to the enhanced bond activity in the Ghana fixed income market, following the successful conclusion of the debt restructuring program. Additionally, the Fitch rating upgrade for Ghana's long-term currency issuer default rating increased to CCC+, further bolstering the fund's performance. I'll touch on the global economic outlook. For the 2025 budget includes the establishment of the Gold Board and aimed at bolstering foreign exchange inflows and overseeing the Gold for Reserves program. Gross forex reserves have seen a significant recovery, rising from 5.9 billion in December 2023 to 9.0 billion in December 2024. Key factors contributing to this recovery included the Gold for Reserves program, bi-weekly forex auction interventions by the Bank of Ghana, and the completion of public debt restructuring programs. These measures are expected to slow the pace of the Ghana cedi depreciation against major currencies. I'll touch a bit on the fixed income market and the yield trends. The conclusion of the debt restructuring program has rekindled foreign investor portfolio interest in Ghana's local bond market. A potential yield curve reset is anticipated, with short-term yields projected to decline from the mid-20s in 2024 to the mid-teens in Q1 2025. Riskier papers are expected to reprice above the Government of Ghana Treasury papers. Furthermore, an extension of the monetary policy tightening cycle may re-anchor bank fixed deposit rates above Treasury bill rates. Given the reinvestment opportunities, this development could benefit market participants aiming to exit their DDP bond positions at a marginal discount. I'll briefly touch on the strategy realignment of the fund and the strategy going forward. The fund restructuring for product diversification. To achieve clearer product differentiation and realign the fund with its primary objective, the manager will be winding down the Stanbic Income Fund Trust AMC. The manager seeks to reopen the main class as a fixed income fund and focus on its mandate of generating sustainable income through longer dated investments in corporate and government bonds. The manager will ring-fence the subclass and ensure that all new deposits into SIFT are medium to long-term oriented and not for short-term purposes. Clients who would prefer to invest in short-term money market securities will be advised to invest in Cash Trust AMC. The bond market recovery. 2 years after the DDP and the implementation of the mark-to-market directive, bond market activities are anticipated to recover as we draw closer to the restructured maturities in 2027 and 2028. This recovery is expected to be underpinned by the government's commitment to reducing borrowing costs, rejecting expensive bids, and encouraging lower treasury yields to meet the IMF target of 55% debt to GDP by 2028. As such, the reopening of SIFT Main would allow new unit holders to benefit from the opportunities that can be leveraged during the interest rate decline in the bond market. So the strategy looking forward. Looking ahead to 2025, Stanbic Income Fund Trust will shift from its current focus on short-term debt management to its primary objective as a fixed income fund with exposure to medium to long-term corporate and sovereign bonds. The fund aims to reopen the SIFT main class to unit holders, achieve sustainable income and capital appreciation in the medium to long term, revise the scheme's mandate from a minimum to a maximum of 85% in government and corporate bonds, and strengthen the fund's liquidity position by maintaining a minimum of 5% in cash and near cash. SIF will remain a medium to long-term fund with a risk profile of medium to high. Other inherent risks in the fund would be mitigated appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you, Nabinyin. The next item on the agenda is to consider the trustees' report. I now call upon Mr. Eric Ajay Yabua to read the trustees' report for the year ended December 31, 2024.
And good afternoon to our cherished unit holders. Report of the trustees to the unit holders of Stanbic Income Fund Trust. In our opinion, according to the information made available to us and the explanation provided, we confirm that in all material respects, the manager has managed the scheme during the period covered by these financial statements in accordance with the trust deed dated 31st day of December 2009, as amended on 18th day of July 2016, and all regulations for the time being in force under the Securities Industry Act 2016 at 929, as amended in Securities Industry Amendment Act 9590 and the Unit Trust and Mutual Funds Regulations 2001, LI 1695. Mr. Chairman, I bring my report to a close. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ajay Yabua. I will now ask the auditor, Baker, Silly, Under, and Under, to read their report.
Thank you. Report of the independent auditor to the unit holders of Stanbic Income Fund Trust. Opinion. We have audited the financial statements of Stanbic Income Fund Trust, which comprise the statement of assets and liabilities as at 31st December 2024, income and distribution accounts, portfolio statements, and capital accounts for the year then ended, and notes forming part of the financial statements, which includes a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes as set out on page 23 to 30. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the fund as at 31st December 2024 and its financial performance and its cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with the IFRS accounting standards and in the manner required by the Securities Industry Act 2016, Act 929, as amended in the Security Industry Amendment Act 590. The Unit Trust and the Mutual Fund Regulation 2001, LI 1695, and the Trust Deed dated 31st December 2009, as amended on 18th July 2016. Basis for opinion. We conducted our audits in accordance with the international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of our reports. We are independent of the fund in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, International Independent Standards, the code issued by the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. And we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements of the current period. They are matters to be addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statements as a whole, and informing our opinion thereon. We do not provide a separate opinion on other matters. There were no material key audit matters to report. Other information. The manager is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the information included in the annual report, but does not include the financial statements and our auditor's report thereon. Our opinion on the financial statement does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements, or our knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If, based on the work that we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of other information, then we are required to report that fact. We have nothing to report on this regard. Reports on other legal and regulatory requirements. Compliance with the requirements of Part 9 of Schedule 8 of the Unit Trust and Mutual Fund Regulation 2001 LI 1695, we confirm that we have obtained all the information and explanation which is best to our knowledge and believes were necessary for the purpose of the audit. In our opinion, proper books of account have been kept by the fund so far as appears from the examination of those books. The fund's financial statements are in agreement with the books of accounts. In our opinion, the fund generally complied with the relevant provisions of the Security Industry Act 2016, Act 929, as amended in the Security Industry Act at 590. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is Samuel Abiel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Avognon. I now call on Ms. Paulina Okain to present the highlights of the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I present the financial highlights for the Stanbic Income Fund Trust for the year ended 2024. Referencing page 16 of the audited financials, we can note a growth of net assets from a base of 380 million in 2023 to 476 million in 2024, a 25% growth year on year. The growth was mainly driven by the subclass, which is the AMC, that was launched in the latter part of 2022 to address the liquidity needs of the clients. The strategy of the AMC fund was to focus mainly on high liquid instruments like the fixed deposits. And as a result of this strategy, we can note a change or a shift in the asset allocation, where we have the fixed assets increasing from a rate of 13% to a 38% in 2024, whereas we see Government of Ghana securities dropping from a rate of 81% to a 61% in 2024, which is reflective on the liquid strategy that was taken by the fund. Moving on to page 18 of the audited financial statements, where we have the income performance. We note that the fund made a net profit of 75 million as opposed to a loss of 78 million in the prior year. The strong performance for this year was mainly due to the returns that were made from the short-term investments, as the fund benefited from the favorable interest rate environment in prior year and the gradual recovery of the bond market. The fund expense stayed fairly flat year on year even though the total assets was growing. And as a result of this, we see our total expense ratio dropping to 1.99%, indicating a better cost efficiency in 2024. So in summation, overall, the fund had a very good run in 2024, turning around prior year's loss into healthy profits. Income improved significantly, expenses were well managed, which reflects a strong financial management and improved market conditions. This concludes the key highlights for SIF. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Okai. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of the fund manager's report for adoption. I now call on the secretary, Ms. Samoa, to take us through the comment and voting process on the motions put forward.
Steps to comment or ask questions. To second a motion, send a comment or question. Kindly locate the chat box at the right or bottom side of your screen. Type and submit your comments and questions. How to cast your vote. We have provided 2 options to enable you partake in the voting exercise in real time. To vote via the online platform, kindly locate the vote box on the bottom of your broadcast screen and follow these steps. Enter the unique token number used to join the meeting. Click Cast Your Vote. Once you have done this, you will see a list of resolutions to be voted for. Follow the voting process by clicking the plus sign, then select your voting option. To vote via short code, dial *899*3# on your phone. Enter the unique code used in joining the meeting. Once you have done this, you can now select your vote option and send. You cannot vote once the chairperson closes the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Samoa. I hereby move that the fund manager's report for the year ended December 31, 2024, and submitted to the meeting be and is hereby received and adopted. Would someone please second this motion? To second this motion, kindly go to the chat box, type your full name, and then type seconded.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Albert Kweku Boateng seconds the motion.
Thank you, AC. Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, there are no questions in the chat box.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the fund manager's report for the year ending 2024. closed. Thank you.
At the end of voting, 44 people voted for the motion. No one voted against the motion, and no one abstained from the motion.
I declare the motion carried. I hereby move that the trustees' report for the year ended 2024 and submitted to the meeting be and is hereby received and adopted. Would someone please second this motion?
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Theodora Ewonam Jujo seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Mr. Chairman, there are no questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the trustees' report for the year ended 2024. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, at the end of voting, 40 people voted for the motion. No one voted against the motion, and no one abstained from the motion.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. I hereby move that the statements of assets and liabilities accounts as of December 31, 2024, together with the income and distribution accounts and the auditor's report thereon for the year ended on that date and submitted to the meeting be and are hereby received and adopted. Would somebody please second this motion?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. George Redu Kodie seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Isaac Yao Chioko asked that, good day, sirs. I want to please know, in case funds get to maturity, how will additional funds introduced to same fund interest be calculated? Please, is it monthly or otherwise? In case funds get to maturity, how will additional funds introduced to same fund interest be calculated? He's asking if it will be calculated monthly or otherwise.
Nabenyin would respond to the question.
The fund valuations are done on a daily basis, so interest will be done on a daily basis.
And apply to the
And apply to the NAV price of the fund.
Thank you, Nabenyin. Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. There's also a question from one of the unit holders asking if, he says, I don't see a bit of impairment. What is the auditor's assessment and reason? I don't see a bit of impairment. What is the auditor's assessment and reason?
So Paulina would respond to that.
So there's no impairment because the asset is actually being marked to market. It's not gone bad, which is why we haven't impaired it, but the mark to market, because you're withdrawing on a daily basis, it has to be as close to the market price as we have it. So indirectly, that impairment loss is actually what you're getting as the hit of the mark to market.
Thank you, Paulina. Any further questions?
Chairman, the previous question was from Mr. James Atta.
Atta.
There are no further questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to adopt the financial statements report for the year ended 2024. Closed. Thank you.
In 42 persons voted for the motion, 1 person voted against the motion, and no one abstained from the motion.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. The next item on the agenda is to fix the remuneration of the auditors, under and under, in respect of the year ending December 31, 2025. In line with best practice and as mentioned at last year's AGM, I hereby take this opportunity to move that the manager be and is hereby authorized to fix the remuneration of the auditor for the year ending December 31, 2025. Would someone please second this motion?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Solomon Akwesi Inketia seconds the motion.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Chairman, there are no questions in the chat box.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to fix the remuneration of the auditors for the year ended 2025. Voting begins now. Voting is closed. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, at the end of voting, 44 people voted for the motion, 1 person voted against the motion, and 2 persons abstained from the motion.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. Special business. I hereby move for a special resolution to be passed to amend the scheme particulars and trust deed of the fund to enable the fund manager to invest a maximum of 85% of the fund's assets under management, AUM, in medium to long-term corporate and government debt securities and invest a maximum of 40% of the fund's AUM in money market securities in Ghana or other regulated markets, whilst retaining a minimum of 5% in cash and near cash securities. Would someone please second this motion?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ishmael Howard seconds the motion.
Motion seconded. Are there any questions before the motion is put to the meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. We have a question from Mr. Enoch Ni Oku Oakley. He asked, when will we be able to withdraw our funds from the debt exchange program that was introduced by the previous government?
So Nana Benyin would respond to that question.
Thank you for the question. In terms of the maturities on the existing DDEP bonds, they mature in 2027 and 2028 respectively. So those bonds maturing, we will be able to withdraw funds without re-exiting the DDP bond exposures. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana Benyin. Any further questions?
There are questions in the chat box.
I now open the online platform for voting on the motion to amend the scheme particulars and trust deed of the fund as aforementioned. Voting begins now. It's closed. Thank you.
At the end of the voting, 40 persons voted for the motion, 3 people voted against the motion, and 1 person abstained from the motion.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I declare that the motion has been duly carried. It has been brought to my attention that there is a question pending on the amendment resolution regarding as to why 85% is being proposed. Nabinyin would respond to that.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the existing mandate, it allows the fund to invest up to 100% in bonds, that is government and corporate bonds. Given that the fact that we want to reduce this exposure to bonds and allow some diversification into money market securities, we are now capping the fund's exposure to government bonds and corporate bonds to 85%. This will reduce the volatility of the fund in the long run. And thus, we are also going to increase the minimum liquidity on the fund, such that clients can easily withdraw whenever they need their money. Thank you.
Thank you, Nabiyin. Questions coming after the motions have been carried will be responded to after this AGM. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of SIMS, the manager for the Stanbic Income Fund Trust, I would like to thank you for your continued interest in the fund's affairs and for attending this meeting. I hereby declare the meeting formally closed. Thank you.